What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Off the Top Rope here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. So, I gotta give some love to JD from New York, and off the script for tipping off this, and I think some of the people in his chat kind of tipped this off. And I wanted to talk about it in here because everybody knows one of my favorite topics to talk about here, and clearly you guys enjoy me talking about it because it's some of the most viewed content that I have on this channel. It's not that I have some obsession with Mercedes Monet. It's just I'm going to call out bullshit when I'm going to call out bullshit. And a lot of what's going on with her is some of the biggest source of the largest amount of bullshit in this company. I said bullshit the most. Seriously, I'll just keep saying that. But so everybody knows that, with the 9 belts, it's ridiculous. One of the belts doesn't even matter. Like, one of the belts is just basically, a trophy for a tournament that she won, that ultimately she won a title shot for, a title that she didn't win, that she's probably going to win anyway. So she's able to walk out on every single show with 9 belts, like it's some big prize. The reaction for her is not great. But here's something that's interesting that I completely forgot about, and you guys have brought this up to me on some of my live streams. Listen, I like Josh Alexander. I think he's an exceptional wrestler. I don't think he has very much of a personality, so he kind of fits right away in AEW. He's actually been very public that, hey, he went there because he wanted to compete with the best, and, hey, there's a lot of people like him there. I think it would have been better served for him to develop a character and potentially reunite with Ethan Page, his former tag team partner in WWE, but he didn't do that. But Josh Alexander is the Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling World Champion. Josh Alexander shows up on AEW television as a background character in the Don Callis family. Yet they're trying to position the Don Callis family as this big deal, even though it's just a bunch of really, like, once you get past Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher and, Okada, there's a bunch of nobodies in that group. I liked Lance Archer a long time ago. He is a shell of himself. Rocky Romero, really? Trent Beretta has disappeared from television. They brought Wardlow into it, and he got hurt immediately. So the Don Callis family's just got a bunch of dudes in there that really, they're not like dudes. Like, they're just guys. They're just guys. So Josh Alexander gets added to this group. I was like, this really isn't going to do anything for him. But they got him to pick up a couple of wins. He then loses to Hangman Page on Wednesday's Dynamite. And I give credit to JD for pointing this out, and it was somebody who tipped him off with this. Josh Alexander, in all the time that he has been in AEW since, about April, basically, he has shown up on all these shows and has not been able to come out with the Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling World Championship. Yet MJF gets to show up with the CML Light Heavyweight Championship and rename it. And then on even a bigger level, which is relevant to this conversation, Mercedes Mone gets to show up with 9 belts from promotions that I've never fucking heard of, and we don't even know who she's beating it for, and she gets to trumpet out how great she is. So what's different with Mercedes? And yes, maybe this is a women thing that they're trying to perpetuate, that this is good for women, but is it good for women when you have a woman coming out with enough titles that almost weigh more than she does? And yet Josh Alexander's the world champion in another promotion, and he can't come out with, he can't come out with his title to make him look better and look like more of a big deal, despite him completely and utterly losing. Like, maybe it's just simply because, hey, Josh Alexander is going to lose, so Scott D'Amore doesn't want his champion getting pinned all the time. And, I like Scott, and I think he's done a good job with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, but Takeshita's gone over there. There's been multiple people that have gone over to Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. This is a partnership that they have somewhat with some of AEW's talent. So you don't think that pushing, like, hey, our world champions on that show, that'd be good for them. But their belt's not displayed there. But everybody tells me that it's good for these other promotions, these independent promotions that keep continuously putting their belts on Mercedes Mone to put them on like accessories, that's supposed to be a good thing. I don't necessarily believe that. I think it's a giant double standard because Mercedes is just getting paid so much more money and is such a bigger star. If you're Josh Alexander, you got to be looking around and saying, wait a second. I'm the world champion, damn it. I'm the world champion of this other promotion. Why can't I come out with my title? but Mercedes can come out with 9 titles, one of which isn't even a title, and perpetuate that I'm the greatest thing ever. This is another flaw in the argument of all these Mercedes stands acting like, this is all like good for women's wrestling. If it was good and you're going to put those titles on screen, then defend it. Josh Alexander isn't bringing it out there. He's not bringing the title out there. Yeah, he's getting pinned, but he's not bringing out the title. But if basically what you're doing, if you're having other titles be brought out in front of you, shouldn't that mean that, hey, if you own a title in another promotion, you should be able to bring that out in front of the world? Like MJF does this. If you want to go there, MJF has brought other titles from other promotions into AEW. He hasn't defended them, but again, this is a giant double standard that you have. And my problem is all these people who tell me that Mercedes is changing the world and changing the game and doing things that are so great and elevating the standard of, women's professional wrestling, when she's bringing titles that nobody cares about. She's not elevating those titles in any respect whatsoever. It looks ridiculous. Nobody cares. And yet, another guy that nobody cares about, that maybe we could have more reason to care about if he were able to bring his world title. He can't even bring his world title out there. Guy's the world champion of another promotion that you work with. Yet Mercedes can bring out titles from independent promotions in Poland. Guys, it's a double standard. Like I'm not against, equality in wrestling and, being able to show women are better. But tell me how her going out with all these titles is, elevating anything. She's facing Riho, who hasn't been on television over a year. She's going to beat her. For God's sake, Riho came out for their tag match, and she came out to Alex Windsor's music. Alex Windsor, a woman who Mercedes has already beaten. Riho can't even get her own entrance. Like, this is all because Mercedes is getting paid all of this money and all of this investment and can do whatever she wants. Why doesn't Josh Alexander get afforded the same opportunities? Yes, I understand. Male, female, and so all you feminist people thinking that I hate women, I don't. I think Mercedes is one of the most talented wrestlers ever. But if she's really about what she has said her mission statement was when she came into this company back in March, she would be putting those titles on the line and would be trying to elevate that, or, be trying to elevate feuds and trying to make things better. Why is Riho getting a championship match? You know why? Because Mercedes needs somebody to beat. That's really what this is about. So it's just like, I give credit to JD for pointing that out, because I never thought of it that way. I was like, wait a minute, there's multiple people in AEW who are champions elsewhere. Why does Mercedes get afforded the opportunity to, bring these titles out onto television, not even really reference them? They're just basically accessories. But Josh Alexander's the world champion in Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and he can't even come out with his damn title. As CM Punk would say, tell me when I'm telling lies. So anyway, thanks so much, everybody. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.